Today's episode is brought to you by the book From Compton to Congress, His Grace for My Race by Walter R. Tucker III. I am super excited to share this book with you because it's the January Mocha Girls Read Book of the Month. From Compton to Congress reveals shocking criminal charges based on an FBI sting that sends Congressman Walter R. Tucker III reeling and changes his life forever. Tucker's choice to fight these charges against him thrust him into a criminal trial that tests the condition of his human spirit and provokes us to reflect on every man's plight versus every man's fight. From Compton to Congress is available from Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Learn more by visiting mochagirlsread.com. Hey everyone, this is Tamara from shelfaddiction.com and welcome to episode 163. This is the first book chat episode of the year. Welcome, welcome. Happy New Year, happy 2018. Today on Book Chat, I am sharing with you my 10 highly anticipated books of 2018 for the first quarter. Yes, there are so many books that I'm looking forward to. I had to break this up into quarters. Otherwise, we would be here all day long. So I'm going to make this short and sweet for you with my top 10 from the first quarter. Again, that means January 1st through March 30th. And I'm going to break it down for you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like and share it. Show your support by rating the podcast and leaving a positive review on Apple Podcast or your podcast listening app of choice. If you'd like to chime in on something you've heard during today's episode, you can find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. If you'd like to email in feedback or questions, feel free to reach out to me at info@shelfaddiction.com or call in and leave an internet voice message via SpeakPipe or the Anchor app. The links are below in the show notes. All right, guys, so here are my 10 books of the first quarter of 2018. First, this list is in order of release date, not in order of my favorite choices. So it's just in order of release date starting January 1st. These are my anticipated books, but if you have one that didn't make the list, feel free to comment or call in and let me know what it is. I'm an avid reader, so I may end up adding one more book to that never-ending TBR list. Second, if you don't know I'm a series reader, now you do. Most of the books on this quarter's list are series, and I have 3 titles that are first in series. So I do recommend that you read every single one of these series. They're all amazing, except for the 3 that are first in series, as I haven't read them yet, so I don't know, but I'm definitely looking forward to them. Lastly, these are a blend of adult and young adults. They're mostly urban fantasy and science fiction. While I also read a good amount of thriller and mystery, these are my favorite genres, so I tend to gravitate toward these first. With those 3 disclaimers out of the way, let's jump into it. First up on my list is Blood Fury. This is the 3rd book in the Black Dagger Legacy series by J.R. Ward. The release date of this title is January 9th. This is a spin-off to the popular Black Dagger Brotherhood series. This series follows the new generation of the Brotherhood and their mates. This installment is all about Peyton and Novo, which we've been previously introduced to in books 1 and 2 of this new series. What an interesting couple they are. I believe that even Saxton gets featured in this book with a love interest, and he's another character that we've been introduced to in this world for a long time now. So this should be a really fun read. If you are a fan of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, I think that you will also enjoy the Black Dagger Legacy series as well. I always have one disclaimer about J.R. Ward. Her writing style is very different in the urban fantasy setting. She uses a lot of slang and, she spells names in an odd way. And while she's got the plot down, her characters are engaging and interesting. And, you want to know what happens to them and you're fully engaged. For someone that's new to her, it may take a moment to adjust to the writing style just because it's a lot of, like I said, slang that you haven't heard before. If you haven't read her before, then you need to know there could very well be a glossary of definitions in the back. And that's common for her because she likes to use different words for different villains and things and places and weapons and, just relationships between people because she has fully committed to her world, and her world building is deep and vast. So if you're into that and you love a lot of world building and a lot of depth, definitely check out J.R. Ward. And I do believe that you can start with the Black Dagger Legacy series. You don't need to start with the Brotherhood series. So while the Brotherhood series is like 16 books deep this year, I think it's 16. Don't worry, you don't need to start there. You can start with the Black Dagger Legacy book 1. So you only have 3 books to read. The second book on my list is Iron Gold, which is the 4th book in the Red Rising trilogy by Pierce Brown. This book is released on January 16th. I've recommended the Red Rising books more than I can remember, so when I saw that this once trilogy has evolved into a now saga with 3 more books planned, I couldn't have been more excited. Brown has a talent, and I can't wait to see what's in store for the Howlers 10 years after the end of Morningstar. What is this crew like as 30-something-year-olds? Red Rising was the story of the end of the universe, and Iron Gold is the creation of a new one. And we will see the beginning of a new saga with new characters, changed characters, evolved characters, and I can't wait to dive in. So I believe because there is such a huge time jump here, technically, even though this is book 4, I suspect that you can pick up with Iron Gold and not be completely lost. But I want to almost hold that until I actually read it, just because I know there's a lot of world building in the Red Rising saga as well. And if Pierce Brown does a lot of recalling of what happened in previous stories, you might be okay. But if he doesn't, you might be a little lost at points. So we'll have to see how this series comes out, how this book comes out. Me personally, as a reader of the other 3 books, I don't want to reread the other 3 books in the beginning of this book. So that's kind of a pet peeve for me. You want enough recall so that you remember what happens and things that, things will jog your memory, but you don't want, here's a recap of what happened in books 1 through 3. So if he doesn't do that, hopefully it's like in a prologue and it's short and sweet, and everyone, the new people to this series and the original readers of this series, will all be happy. But we shall see. But if you're interested and you have the time, definitely go back and start with Red Rising. It was one of my favorite books the year it was published. My third book is Still Me by Jojo Moyes. This is the 3rd book in the Me Before You trilogy. I believe it's a trilogy. This comes out January 30th, and I think this will be a perfect series to be a trilogy, because we got to see Me Before You, and that was turned into a movie. Actually, if you've seen that movie, then you know the story of Louisa and Will and what happens with that. And then following that, there was a book called After You, which is after, spoiler alert, after the death of Will, what happens to Louisa. And now Louisa is in a new relationship and we follow her to New York. So I'm excited to see the new adventures of Louisa in New York City. And, she tries to start a new life. She tries to keep her relationship together with Sam. They've been apart for some time, I suspect. I suspect there's been some sort of time jump. I'm just really interested to see what happens to Louisa and how her character has transformed. So again, this is the 3rd book. So if you have the time, I definitely recommend going back and reading Me Before You, because that was an amazing read. It was amazing. It was so good. And I enjoyed After You as well. So Still Me, I hope, will deliver all the things I want. And guys, this is a little bit different from the other things on the list, because this is a contemporary fiction romance. It is not fantasy. It is not science fiction. So if you are looking for something not in that genre, this series is the one you should check out. Number 4 on the list is The Bells, the 1st book in the Bells series. I do not know if this is a trilogy or a series yet, and it is written by Donnell Clayton. This comes out on February 6th. This book is all about a girl called Camilla, and she is a belle in the opulent world of Orleans. Belles are revered for their beauty, and beauty is coveted among all else. In Orleans, the people are born gray. They are born damned, and they only with the help of a belle and her talents can they transform and be made beautiful. But it's not enough for Camille to just be a belle. She wants to be the favorite, the belle chosen by the Queen of Orleans to live in the royal palace, to tend to the royal family and their court. I can sense where this is heading, right? I really can. This is definitely YA. It's going to be some young teenage angst in it. Camilla soon learns that her very existence, her very essence of that existence is a lie, and that her powers are far greater than she could have ever imagined. She's more dangerous than she ever thought. She's stronger than she thought. And when the queen asked Camilla to risk her own life to help the ailing princess by using her bell power in unintended ways, Camilla now has to face a difficult and impossible decision. So that sounds really interesting to me. It really does. I mean, I didn't even read the full description just then. I just took bits and pieces, but come on, what's not to love? That sounds like it's going to be amazing. And if the world building is on point, as I suspect it is, it's going to be an awesome read. And the cover art is gorgeous. Now, you guys know I'm a sucker for good cover art. And Donnell Clayton has nailed it. Number 5 on the list is Honor Among Thieves. This is the first in series for The Honors by Rachel Caine and Anne Aguirre. Now, I have not read Rachel Caine and Anne Aguirre together as a team. I have read Rachel Caine in the past. I have not read Anne Aguirre. So we will see how this goes. It is science fiction, YA science fiction. I love the synopsis. I love the premise. I'm just always kind of leery when it's a writing team, but I'm going to put those, feelings aside and dive in head first. Honor Among Thieves is published on February 13th. The heroine of this story is Zara Cole. She's a petty criminal, and she has a painful past that has made her stronger than most, which is why she chose a life in New Detroit instead of moving with her family to Mars. In her eyes, living inside a dome isn't much better than a prison cell. Okay. So why, I'm a Metro Detroiter. It says she lives in New Detroit. What's not to love about that? She's a petty criminal. She sounds like she's witty. She sounds like she has this aversion to being in prison, and that's a good thing. But she's a thief. Okay, so obviously she's an honorable thief, but we will see. I didn't read the whole synopsis, but it's science fiction, which I'm really into right now. It's probably going to have some kind of love interest because it's YA, but I'm thinking it's not the main focal point of the story. I mean, we're going to probably spend some time on Mars and all this other stuff. I'm really, really excited to see where this goes. I have enjoyed Rachel Caine in the past, and I think I'm going to enjoy this. So yes, Honor Among Thieves comes in at number 5, and that again is first in series. Number 6 on the list is The Daughter of the Siren Queen. This is the second book in the duology. I understand this is just a 2-parter that could change later, but as of right now, from what I understand, it's only 2 books. So this is part 2 of 2, and the first book was Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. This book comes out February 27th. And full disclosure, guys, I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed Daughter of the Pirate King. I am not one to just pick up pirate books. I just don't. For some reason, pirate books just never appeal to me. But I read this for book club and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed how much Alosa, who is our heroine, she is such a strong character and she is such a unique character in ways that, she's a pirate. She's the daughter of a pirate. She's strong. She has her own crew, but yet she also has faults. She also is imperfect. And I really enjoyed that about her. So in this new installment, we are again in a sea adventure as we follow Alosa and her crew as she finds out even more about her past as a siren and a race for the treasure. And if you guys read book 1, you know what the treasure is and how we got to this point. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but if you're curious, I definitely recommend checking out Daughter of the Pirate King, book 1. So yes, definitely, I'm excited for this one. All right, guys, number 7, Burn Bright, the 5th book in Alpha and Omega by Patricia Briggs. This comes out on March 6th. This is a spin-off of Patricia Briggs' well-known series, the Mercy Thompson series. And if you've been following me or the Shelf Addiction blog or the Three Bloggers One Series Read Along, you know we've been all about Mercy Thompson for the last year. We've read the entire published 10 books, and we recommend the Alpha Omega series. So I am on this. As soon as Burn Bright is out, I will be reading it. I love Patricia Briggs' writing style. She's amazing. And this spinoff focuses on Charles and Anna, and they are another one of my favorite urban fantasy couples. I really enjoy them. I really enjoy Briggs' writing. I can't speak to this enough. You definitely need to check this out. You don't necessarily need to start with Mercy Thompson series to get into Alpha and Omega, although I think some of the nuances and relationships you might kind of miss if you don't read it. But definitely you can start with Alpha and Omega book 1 and continue from there. So this is a spectacular series, and I guarantee you, once you get into this, you're going to want to pick up the Mercy Thompson series to fill in the gaps. You're just going to want to. So yeah, definitely check out Burn Bright. Number 8, The Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is the first book in the Legacy of Orisha series. I don't know if this is a trilogy or saga or a full-length series just yet, as this is first in the series. The cover art is amazing. So we are back to YA. This is a YA fantasy. This book is all about magic and monarchs and a rogue princess. What's not to love? The heroine in this book, Zeely, remembers when the soil of Orisha hummed with magic. Burners ignited flames, tiders beckoned waves, and Zeely's Reaper mother summoned forth souls. But everything changed the night magic disappeared. Under the orders of a ruthless king, Magi were targeted and killed, leaving Zeely without a mother and her people without hope. Oh my, this sounds deep. I think it's going to be deep. The buzz level about this book has been outrageous. I mean, everyone is talking about The Children of Bone and Blood. And I really like that it has this different feel to it. It's like it's going to be definitely deep in world building. It's going to be a whole new world with all new types of powers and magic and things like that. And, you know, it just sounds amazing. So definitely I am really anticipating this book, and I look forward to talking to you guys about this book. And if I didn't mention previously, this comes out on March 6th. The 9th book on my list, we're almost there, guys. Number 9 is High Voltage, the 10th book in the Fever series by Karen Marie Moning. This also comes out on March 6th. Well, Karen Marie Moning has decided to do something interesting with the Fever series, and we are back to Dani's story. Now, I don't know if you recall, if you are a Fever reader, then you already know she has attempted to spin off Dani's story with the book Iced, but that did not work out as a spin-off, and she wove it back into the Fever series. So I'm not really sure of the intent of this book, as she, has before tried to do a spin-off. But in this case, she's still calling it a Fever book, so I'm not really sure what to expect. So I'm super curious to see what another book focused on Dani would be like. I definitely like Dani as an adult. We got to see her as an adult in Fever book 9, and I really enjoyed seeing her older, and all the different characters that interact with her as an adult is really fun to read. So I'm really curious to see what this is going to be. I don't have that much information on it as of yet. It's kind of vague to me, but if you're a Karen Marie Moning fan, then I definitely recommend checking out High Voltage. Last but not least, guys, number 10 is Obsidio, the Illuminae Files number 3 by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Now, first, you guys, I adored this series on audiobook. It's so unique in that it tells a story through dossiers and case files, and it builds the story based on all this evidence found, audio from a artificial intelligence system is very interesting and like nothing else I've ever read. Again, this story is perfection on audiobook, but the hardcover is gorgeous as well. You get to see all of the documents and the case files and all those things, but it's not in a traditional, chapter by chapter, style book. So if you can't get into a visually different looking book, you know, how you read it is different, then I definitely say you should give it a try on audiobook. It's amazing. It's full cast. So here we go. So Illuminae was all about Katie and Ezra's escape. Gemina introduced us to Hannah and Nick. And now Obsidio brings these worlds of the 4 characters together in the 3rd installment of this awesome space adventure. Oh, I really enjoyed this, that it's science fiction. Yes, there's a little romance, but it takes a back seat to the action. And, you know, it's almost like a space opera. It's just so vast and awesome. And you get to hear, you know, artificial intelligence ships talking and people eavesdropping, and you get to see text messages. And I can't speak enough about how unique this is. And it is YA science fiction, but, you know, it doesn't feel like YA science fiction. I don't know. What does that even mean? I might have to do a separate episode on YA science fiction or YA fantasy, but I'll save that for another time. Anyway, definitely I recommend the Illuminae files. Definitely start with the Illuminae files. You cannot jump in late. You need to start from the beginning. And I am super excited for Obsidio that is out on March 13th. While I know there are a lot more books that are coming out that everyone loves between now and March 30th, I just had to give you guys my top 10, you know, keeping it short and sweet for you. And again, if you have a favorite, that's something that you're really looking forward to, that's at the top of your list, and it didn't make mine, go ahead and, you know, send me a comment or call in. I would love to hear what books you're looking forward to in the first quarter of the year, because I always love adding to my TBR list. It was a blast chilling with you by myself. It's been a long time since I've been on air by myself, but I totally enjoy it, and I love talking to you guys about books and recommendations. Thank you for downloading and streaming, all of that fun stuff. Catch me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Call in. I want to hear from you, and I will catch you next time. And until then, take care, everyone. Happy reading. If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.